Hi everybody, it is April and I am back with another tutorial. I've done a couple tutorials on using SVG files on your silhouette, in your silhouette software, and I believe I've done a video on using your SVGs in Cricut Design Space. But I was thinking about it and I thought, well, maybe not everybody knows where you find SVG files. And you know, I was going to Google, what does SVG stand for? SVG files stand for. So I know of several places. There are all kinds of places where you can find SVG files, but I thought that I would share with you 3 places besides the Silhouette Design Store where you can find SVG files and bring them either into your Silhouette Studio software or your Cricut Design Space software or whatever it is they call the brother software. I think it's Canvas is that software. Wherever there is software that you can use an SVG file, you should be able to use these files. SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, and essentially it should be a file that shows you cut lines. And of course my inbox pops up right as I'm in the video. Okay, so first I'm going to start out with Google Chrome, and I am at Dreaming Tree, which is a website that has beautiful, beautiful SVG files. They also have free SVGs. So I'm going to click in this box and go to the free SVGs. There are several pages of SVGs. I'm going to pick one. I was hoping it was going to be on the first page. Hopefully I'll find something on the second page. And how about this Dragonfly mini lantern? So I'm going to add this to my cart, and again, there are each site has a different way that you get your SVG files, especially if you're doing it for free. So I'm going to view cart, where I have my Dragonfly mini lantern. It is $0, so I'm going to proceed to checkout. And I'm thinking it's going to make me log in. And that's probably just so they can use information to send me, see, it automatically checks, sign me up for the newsletter, which is nice because you get information when they come out with new cut files. Alright, while that is being placed, I'm going to go to Etsy. Etsy has all kinds of SVG files. And I figure while I'm there, I'm going to use my cash, my rebates, Ebates cash in case I buy something. I'm having trouble with my mouse. Alright, I'm going to sign in. So checkout will hopefully be more of a breeze. And I'm going to look for Halloween SVGs. Okay, and here are all kinds of SVGs. Oh, cute. Great Pumpkin Believer. I mean, they have just the cutest stuff. I'm really liking this one. I could see that on a shirt or on a card. I don't like it. $3.50. And Etsy, you're not going to find anything free. You can find some SVGs that are very reasonably priced, but free I don't believe is going to be an option. Let's see. I got the Mickey. I mean, really just adorable stuff. I like this little mummy. I don't necessarily like the mummy now. Mummy boy, sorry. But I'm going to proceed to checkout with PayPal. And essentially Dreaming Tree and Etsy are going to work the same, where you get your files and you download them. Sorry for the racket. I'm getting a mouse pad to make this a little better. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Now, while we're checking out pay on Etsy, I'm going to go back to Dreaming Tree, and it says that my order has been received. So they are going to send me an email, and I have to get that email, and it will probably be in junk. Go to junk. I don't think I've added them to my contact list. So let's go back to Etsy. Oh, thanks for your order. Now, sometimes your digital files will be ready. If you give it a few seconds to it has to verify your payment. I've received a receipt. So I'm going to go ahead and click View Your Digital Files now. And here's Mummy's Boy, and there's an SVG and there's a PNG. And since this is all about using SVGs, I'm going to download my SVG file. Alright, and I'm going to click it. It's downloaded. It's going to bring it up. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so here I'm going to right click and I'm going to do Save As. And for today's example, I'm going to save everything to my desktop. I have a folder on Dropbox that is specifically for SVG files, and I have one that's for Digi images, which would be like the PNG. But right now I'm just going to save it to my desktop, and that's what you can do too, is you can save your image to your desktop. Now I've got an email about my Dreaming Tree file, and I'm going to bring it here. I'm going to download my pictures. It says my order is complete, and here I can download. So I'm going to download my Dragonfly. It shows up over here. It's in a zip file. So I showed you how to save it to your desktop, and that is just going to make it easier to find. So here I click Dragonfly Mini Lantern Zip, and it should open. Yep, it's expanding it. So you have to click the zip file in order for it to open up into a folder. So see, if you look in my downloads, I'm going to have a Dragonfly Mini Lantern zip file, and if you double click that, or when I click it in my download window of my Internet Explorer type I'm having a brain freeze. My internet browser window, then it automatically opens the zip file. So here I have a folder, and it's got, if I double click it, it has a menu which will show you, it's going to open in preview, and it's kind of nice. It'll show you what you need to make this free SVG. Then there is also, hold on, I gotta get back to my Finder window. There's a Jpeg, which will show you a picture, which makes it sometimes easier to see a picture of what you're making, so you can figure out how to pull it together. Alrighty, and then you've got your SVG folder, which contains 3 different cut files, and those 3 different cut files are what you will need in order to make your project. So I'm going to go back one, and I am going to open another window, and I am going to, so I have a window open where my SVG files are for my Dragonfly Mini Lantern, and then I have another window open. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to drag my SVG, actually I'm going to back up one. I'm going to drag my whole Dragonfly mini lantern SVG so that I have that folder on my desktop. And then eventually you can save it on a cloud-based server. Okay, so we've gotten an SVG from Dreaming Tree, and that file we received through email, so we downloaded it from email and saved it on our desktop. We purchased an SVG from Etsy. Etsy made it a little easier on us because we waited a couple minutes and clicked view your download files, and we downloaded those files directly. And now we're going to SVG Cut, which is also a lovely site with great cut files. We're going to go to free designs, and keep in mind you don't have to do free. I'm just showing you where you can get some free designs to get started if you're not familiar with SVGs. And there should be a birch tree. And keep in mind, these pictures, somehow I ended up back on page 1. These pictures don't really do justice to what it is you're making. I think these are the older images, and there are some that give you a good idea of what the finished product looks like. Okay, so she's included this finished product in her description once you open the free SVG file to save it. Okay, so this, it doesn't make you sign in, it doesn't make you purchase it, it doesn't send it to you in your email. All you do is you click download now, and it puts that file on your machine. So that's really nice. It's very convenient. Now I'm going to do the same thing here that I did with my mini lantern, my Dragonfly mini lantern. I'm going to open 2 windows, and you can do this in Windows just as easily as you can do it on a Mac. I do my demonstrations or tutorials on a Mac because I can use QuickTime Video to do them. There's no functionality on a Mac that you don't have on your Windows laptop. So here I've got my SVG Cuts birch tree card, so I'm going to drag that folder over to my desktop, and there it is. So now I've got 3 different SVG files from 3 different places besides Silhouette Design Store. Again, you can Google SVG files and find probably all kinds of free files. Be careful when you're downloading. Make sure that your source is reliable, and I do know that the sources that I just pulled from are reliable sources. So now, in order to get that SVG file into my Silhouette software, I'm going to do File, Open, and it will bring up a Finder window. Someday, soon, I hope. Okay, I'm going to go to my desktop because that's where I saved it, and I am going to double click my birch tree. Again, you've got a PDF menu which gives you what you need, what kind of paper and whatnot that you need in order to make this project. There's a Jpeg, so that gives you a picture of your finished product, and then you have your SVG files and your terms of use. I'm going to double click my SVG files. Within that, I have an envelope and I have a card. So I'm going to go ahead and double click the card, and let's see, I think I might, nope, I have to open them up one at a time. So that's my side panel, and it's going to open it up and bring it into my software, hopefully, somewhere. I don't know. Oh, there it is. It put it down here. So sometimes it doesn't put it exactly where you would expect it. So just use the zoom out function, which is the magnifying glass with a minus, so that you can find where it pulled in your SVG. And I'm File, Open. I'm going to get my side panel 1. Again, it's putting it in some funky spots. It's also opening each cut in one on a different mat. So I've got one side panel here, I've got another side panel here, so that makes it a little more frustrating. I don't recall it doing that before. Alright, no, it's hidden my card from me. It's a big game. Okay, so I'm going to right click on the card. I am going to copy. I am going to go to my first image, and I'm gonna make it so we can see this a little better. I'm going to paste, which might have been a waste of time. Nope, it put my card right up here. Okay, it does bring it in at the size that you need to cut your project, so that's a good thing. I'm going to go over to the mat where it opened this side panel. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to place it on this mat. So the 3 images that I've brought into the software are all on one mat now. I'm going to try something. I just want to make sure I can't hit the shift and bring in all the images, and it is not letting me. Okay, so it's a little tedious. Keep in mind these were free, so you can't complain about how you have to bring in your free files. So I just copied this panel that I brought in from this mat onto one mat. So we're going to skip right along, and this part should look familiar, and I'm just walking through it so you remember. I'm going to go to the send, because everything, all these images are in my software, and I shouldn't have to resize them or do anything with them. And what I'm going to have to do, see when I click on the card, it says no cut. So I'm going to click cut, and all of a sudden all of my lines are red, and this is what should happen because it is an SVG file. You shouldn't have to do any tracing or that kind of thing with an SVG. Sometimes you do, but technically you shouldn't. So now I've clicked this panel, and I'm going to click cut. I'm not going to click cut edge because I want it to cut out the whole image. I clicked the other side panel and clicked cut, and then if you can see there's another panel in the background, and I clicked cut, and then I can use my fill option on my cutting out, and I can uncheck the boxes of the colors that I don't want to cut, and I can cut those out one at a time. Alright, so let's go back, and the other images should work the same way. That was the image from SVG Cuts. Let's open the images from Dreaming Tree, which we can go back to my desktop, and we've got the Dragonfly mini lantern. Again, go to your SVGs, and it doesn't let you pick multiples, so you have to open one at a time. I'm going to have to look and see if there's a way that I can open it in the same window. So this opened the next image on a different mat, so I'm going to copy it and go to the first mat and paste and open. There's one more cut. You can either double click this or you can highlight it and click OK. Again, opened it on a different mat, so I'm going to right click and copy this image, go to the first mat where the first image was opened and paste. So now I have all of my images. Again, shouldn't have to resize. I'm going to go to my send, and we have the same thing going on with this image that we had going on with the SVG cuts. So I just click and select the 3 different images, click the cut, and that gives me my cut lines. I've got the blue, click cut. I've got my cut lines, and I've got this light blue in the back, click cut, and I have my cut lines. And I'm going to kind of separate them out so they don't look like such a hodgepodge. They're overlapping right now, and that is why they look so funny. But when you separate them out, then you see that you have the different cuts. Okay, so that is our design by Dreaming Tree. We have one more, and that is our Etsy project. So I'm going to go to File, Open. I'm going to go to my desktop. I am going to find my Mummy's Boy SVG. I can double click it, or I can click it and click OK. Now this one we only have one image, so it shows up on one mat. We can go to Send, and this one is already highlighted to cut out. So all we have to do is pick our material and we should be good to go. So that is just a little tutorial on SVGs, where you can find them. Let's see, I'm gonna bring this box over here and I'm going to do a search on SVG files for Halloween. And this is just Google. You've got Etsy, free SVG files from lovesvg.com. And here are some SVGs, some really cute ones. I don't always like it when you have to click a special download key. I don't know, that just to me is kind of taking a risk of downloading some sort of virus on your machine. And if you, Pinterest, that's another place where you can go and you can find SVG files. So here you've got your silhouette pumpkin. If I click the plus sign and then click open, I can right click, save image as, this is just going to save it as a JPEG, I think. Yeah. So let's see, let's go back to Pinterest. This may not really be an SVG. Sometimes it can be misleading. That's a shape from Silhouette. Look, cute. It's a pumpkin with Mickey ears. But if you do a search on SVG files in Pinterest, I am sure that you will come across all kinds of images. Keep in mind, these images can be used with paper. They can also be used with vinyl and with heat transfer vinyl for t-shirts. So I hope that this was helpful, and if you want more tutorials like this, click subscribe. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I would be happy to either do another tutorial that will answer your question, or maybe be able to answer your question in a reply to your comment. You have a great day, and I will talk to you next time.